You made the decision to grow your own food, but you don't know which seeds and how many seeds that you need. Today I'm going to show you how I map out my garden so that I can figure out how many seeds I have on hand and how many seeds I need for the crops that I want to plant. Then I'm going to show you my humble seed haul. We have like 8 or 9 items, so it's not very big. So let's get started. Hello, and thank you for stopping by. This is the A-Frame Homestead, and I welcome you to our home. Whether we choose to accept it or not, we are in the early stages of World War III. In the United States, Victory Gardens played a part in making sure our troops had access to food during the last 2 world wars. Americans were encouraged to grow as much as they could. This way, our commercial farmers could focus on crops to feed the troops and the starving European citizens. There were meatless Mondays and meatless Wednesdays, and they were catchy ways to get Americans to do their part for the soldiers and civilians on the Western Front. Why a garden? Plenty has changed in the last 100 years in the United States. The wealth gap has grown more than at any other time in the United States history. Americans are looking for ways to cut costs, and the garden is a great way to supplement your diet. Gardening is like having a grocery store in your backyard. Once you eat your first salad fresh from the garden, you'll always have a garden. I'm going to start you off with this warning. If you don't eat it now, don't grow it. If you grow lima beans this year, you think you're going to start eating lima beans if you don't like them to begin with? Don't waste your time. Don't waste your valuable garden space. There are hundreds of seed catalogs to choose from, and then you have to pick out the varieties of the vegetables that you want to grow. Take tomatoes. Do you want determinants, indeterminants? Do you want a cherry tomato, a grape tomato, a beefsteak tomato, a slicing tomato, a paste tomato? Just be aware that the options are limitless, and this can set you up for failure. I have found that when I map out my garden space, I have a visual of what's going into the garden, and that way I don't order too many seeds. This means that you're not wasting money on seeds that you're not going to use. I plan my garden by the square foot. If you have a bigger garden, you can plan by the row or the block. I start by labeling my perennial crops. Next, I give each crop space according to which veggies are our favorites. If you're new to gardening, just stick with the basics. That purple cabbage will look really nice in that coleslaw, and it's very brag-worthy. But do you want to be eating purple cabbage right now, or do you want to be eating cabbage from another country in the middle of winter? Those are the decisions you have to make. It's okay to have a couple fun things, but stick with the basics. If you're on a budget, don't be afraid to get your seeds at Walmart or any grocery store. If you're eligible for SNAP benefits, you can use your EBT card to get your vegetable and fruit seeds. Fellow gardeners always have extra plants and seeds. If you let them know that you're just starting off with your gardening, they will probably offer you seeds or plants too. Now you can go to Facebook and go to the seed swapping sites. I don't recommend it. I found that just about everybody that I've sent nice seeds to send me their junk seeds. You can post an in search of ad on Facebook Marketplace too, just the local yard sale sites. If you're going to go with an online catalog, go with items that are marked easy to grow. But I'm going to warn you, be prepared for sticker shock. Seeds can run you anywhere from $3 a packet up to $10 per seed. That's why I recommend going to these Facebook sites. You can be willing to pay for people for their seeds, but most people will give you seeds. A pack of wildflower seeds scattered in different places in your garden can make a big difference. Those wildflowers will attract beneficial insects and butterflies, and those will help protect your plants from invasive insects. Look at that packet of flowers as a very easy defense mechanism. You don't want to be spraying chemicals onto your stuff, and flowers are the best way to get rid of those invasive bugs. Now it's time for my modest seed haul. I went through my garden map, I have it all filled out, and I figured out what I needed for seed. This year I plan to get back to the basics, and I already have most of the seeds that I need. These are the seeds that I plan to use. They have filled in different spots all through here. We are going to start off with my gifted seed here. What's different this year in the garden, I usually plant all my flowers here along the southern part of the garden because there's a footpath out behind the house here and it leads to a parklet. Some of the neighbors walk out back there and they get to enjoy the flowers. This year they're going to have kale and chard and calendula to look at. I'm going to take these flowers that were gifted to me by a dear friend and neighbor, and I am going to put them towards a hedgerow here, or I have a big area here in the front that's already a garden space. I may just do some magic there and put the sunflowers up there too. We're going to see. It depends how ambitious I am too. Number one gifted to me, sunflower seeds. So where are we next? Kale. This year again, we went with the red boar and winter boar. The chipmunks ate most of this. Seeds we're going to start inside, definitely. The neighbor loved the kale because he puts it in a smoothie every day, and his wife said he's just happy to have it. And I just let his wife know, hey, there's veggie mail, and she goes and comes and picks up her veggie mail. I might even put a little bit of the kale right along here on this outside western wall, just because you can just bend down and snap it off. You don't need scissors or anything like that. It just snaps right off. So winter boar and red boar. Next we have the super sweet 100s. These are the only tomato seeds that I'm starting from seed at the house. I'm going to buy all my starts at the nurseries this year. It helps the local people, and they have a real good variety. You can look up on your phone if you want determinants or indeterminants and just figure that out. They have a good selection of heirlooms. So there's a lot. There's a lot to choose from. So I like to go there and look and spend like an hour and just kind of see which tomato plants I want to get. Every year they're different. So super sweet 100s. Those are going right here. Last year we planted. This my cat's trying to. Come here, kitty girl. Come on up. Say hi to the camera. The Bolero carrots are what we grew last year. The neighbor kids couldn't get over how big they were. I'm going to put these in the ground. This is going to be our early crop up there at the southern end of the garden. And down here is going to be our winter crop that's going to stay in the ground until we pull them out in the middle of winter, until they're gone. The red noodle bean that we have here is a bean that gets 20 to 30 inches long, and it's red. It looks like a big noodle. It's edible, and you can even can it. I just like it for the novelty. The kids like it because they walk under the arches and the little red noodles hit them in the face. So it's a fun thing, and we can still eat them. That's our guilty pleasure. This year we are going with purple green beans. Does that make sense? What are they called? Bush beans. I chose this variety because they're easier to see and they're just as hardy as the green provider beans. As you get older, you'll understand. I bought 1,000 of these, and the reason I bought so many of them is because I needed to make sure that I had enough for this year and next year, and this will be more than enough for this year and next year. Green beans mostly only go in these stackables. This year I ordered 1,000 Bolero carrots. I ordered my carrot seed pelleted, and the reason I do that is because I have all these carrots. The seeds on these carrots are so small that you have to, when you go like this and scatter them, there's just like thousands of them that you're dropping. And that means that you're, number one, wasting seed, and number two, wasting time. Because you're going to have to pull a lot of these. Because a good carrot should have about 3 inches. You could put about 16 in every square if you do square foot gardening. I do 9 to a square. I have about 450 that I'm going to need this year. Boleros are a nice storage carrot. The neighbor boy has never seen carrots so big, and he was just so happy to get carrots that were that big and made his eyes just as big. I do grow organic. I only use organic fertilizers. I want to make sure that we have good, healthy soil, and I have lots of worms and bugs and nematodes and whatever else needs to be floating around in the stew of the dirt. Whether you put your carrots ultimately there or up here doesn't really matter. The point of this whole thing right now is to make sure that you're not over purchasing your seed and that you have an idea what you're putting in your garden, what you want to plant. And finally, the last thing I ordered, the Jerry Peterson Blue Flint Corn. It's organic. This seed is going to a pastor friend of mine. He runs a rehab for people that have gone through post-traumatic war and stressors like that, and that they're also having drug and addiction problems. He does therapy with them. This pastor runs an organic farm that not only feeds his family, but he also has a side hustle selling authentic Mexican food to people in Kiev. So essentially, folks, that's how I put together my garden for the year. And it's not necessarily going to be that these carrots are going to be here. They could be up here. I could decide that I'm not going to move my trellis down here. I'm going to leave it up there like I did last year. Time will tell. We're going to see. But for right now, we got a pretty accurate idea of what we're going to grow and what else we need to purchase. And the rest, I think I'm going to do starts. This is pretty much the way that things are going to go this year. And I'm really excited for our 2025 season. This is my first garden plan. I hope that you guys learned something out of this today, that you picked up a few ideas. We welcome you to like this video, and you can free subscribe. Until next time, happy growing.